Hello everyone, I'm Chloe Johnson and welcome to this Fresh Business Thinking webinar series, Lockdown Learning for Businesses, supported by BT. BT Skills for Tomorrow aims to empower businesses and their employees with the digital skills to help grow their business. The Skills for Tomorrow website includes free learning content that small businesses and their employees can access at any time on topics such as promoting your business with online advertising, making sure your customers can find you online, and much more. To find out more, you can click on the link in the comments. Coronavirus is continuing to be a challenge for small businesses and entrepreneurs across the UK. The outbreak leaves an overwhelming uncertainty into the future for business owners, but this is a time when as a business community we need to come together and support one another. And we're lucky enough to work with organisations and individuals who are passionate about supporting entrepreneurs during this difficult time. One of those is our speaker today, Tim Watson, founder of Traction 6, helping business owners get more from their business. Tim has extensive leadership experience and years of EOS hands-on experience. He's held director roles in IT development, operations, and marketing. Today, Tim will discuss all things EOS and how it can help your business. Tim will be talking for around 40 minutes and then we'll have some time for a Q&A. So if you do have any questions, you can leave them in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen and we'll do our best to get to them later on in the session. That's all from me for now and I'll pass over to you, Tim.
All right, thanks very much then, Chloe. Appreciate the introduction there. And also, hello and thanks to everyone for joining. I'm sure you're having a busy time with everything that's going on. So, I really appreciate you making time to see how EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system, can help you get stronger in your business. And I really want to cover three things today. A very quick word about the current context, obviously the backdrop to this webinar. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about us, about EOS, showing where it came from and, about me. So, I'm not kind of practicing here. And number three, where I'm going to spend most of the time, is the EOS tools. I'm going to show you what they look like, just going to open up my fire hose, hit you with everything I've got, share with you the specific tools that we use to get clients to help them get more of what they want from their business. So if you're good, let's get going with that. The current context of today, yes, I don't want to talk too much about the C word, but just to share what I'm seeing in the businesses I work with. We're through the biggest challenges, things are settling down. Survival plans are mostly in place for the really badly hit businesses. Obviously, a big focus on cash and spending right now. People have adjusted to new market conditions, and that's progressing. The significant disruption that's happening is going to continue for at least another 6 months. I feel, and most people seem to feel. And we know that there's a recession coming around the corner, very likely, which means only the strong are going to survive. That's just our reality. Home working disruption is going to continue for quite some time, and I certainly know quite a few businesses looking at their office space and wondering whether they should reduce the spend on expensive office space. And I saw Facebook said they're going to actually have people home based from now on, and they're going to be part office and part home based. So I suspect that's a trend for the future for businesses, is more remote working generally. But anyway, these things taken together, and why we're here is, you need a strong team more than ever. There needs to be clear focus, discipline, and accountability within the team to get through these tough times. That's never been, even more important than now, to have that kind of focus. So with that, that's where we bring into EOS, and a little bit about the background on EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. Everything I'm going to share with you today was created by a lifelong entrepreneur called Gino Wickman. He started his entrepreneurship at the age of 21. Age 25, he was called in to turn around the family business. He spent 3 years turning around the family business, worked with it for another 7 years, sold that business, transitioned in a new leadership team over a 1.5 year period. And at the same time, he was a founding member of the Detroit EO Entrepreneurs Organization chapter, and he found there he had kind of a knack, a passion for the art and science of what makes a great entrepreneurial company. So he decided to put that knowledge, that skill, to good use, and he began cobbling together the EOS tool set. These are real world practical tools based on timeless concepts. Simple things, they've been around for 100 years, probably going to be around for another 1,000. You're not going to find any magic pills. There's no silver bullets with what I'm sharing. And since Gino created EOS, he, I, and another 350 implementers have conducted thousands of sessions around the globe. And EOS is in use today by thousands and thousands of organizations. And when we work with leadership teams, we're really focusing on three things. We're focusing on vision, traction, and healthy, we call them. Vision means getting everybody 100% on the same page with where you're going and how you're going to get there. Traction is instilling the discipline and accountability throughout the organization so that wherever you go, people are executing on that vision. And healthy, just making more cohesive, functional, open, fun-loving teams and leadership teams, because a lot of the time they're not. And we find, as goes the leadership team, as goes the rest of the organization, and you get to the point where everybody in your organization is then 100% on that same page with that vision, executing on it with discipline, accountability, and working together with a bunch of people they like to work together too. So that's really the, where it came from. The kinds of organizations that work with EOS, they're entrepreneurial, they're between 10 and 250 employees typically, willing to be open, honest, vulnerable, more afraid of the status quo than they are of change. That's kind of, who finds EOS works well for them. My short story as to how I came to be here. In 2004, a friend of mine asked me to join the board of a startup. We grew that company quickly. We sold for 2 million. I stayed with the acquiring company for a few years, then I left and started a marketing consultancy business. And about 3.5 years ago, a client at that time in the US asked me to join his company, said move to the US and join and be on my leadership team. I declined him, but he kept asking, and in the end I agreed to be a fractional marketing director for him. And at the same time, we started on a journey to implement EOS. And the change was dramatic. That business grew by 54% to $10 million in the last 3 years. And I just saw how so many of the common business challenges I see in many businesses are solved by the EOS system. And the opportunity to help organizations with EOS was there. So that's what I started doing, started helping people with EOS, and that's how I'm here now. So let me get into the tools. I'm sure this is what you really want to hear about. I'm actually going to begin at the end. I'm going to illustrate what it looks like when you've got your business fully running and implemented on EOS. And the best way for me to do that is with a model, putting your business at the center of this model. And this comes from Gino's discovery that all entrepreneurs tend to work with 136 different issues simultaneously. And what he found was that, to the extent that you can strengthen, there's 6 key components of your business, is the extent that all of those, issues fall into place, because they're really just symptoms of some true cause. And the EOS journey, as we call it, is really to strengthen those 6 key components. So it's all about the journey to strengthen the 6 key components of the business. And I'm going to share that with you now. First, in a high level, I'm going to go around these 6 components on the screen. First pass, just explain what each of them are, and then I'm going to go around for a second time and put in a little bit more detail as to each of them. So we start off with the vision component. All businesses, any business, it needs vision. It has to have a vision component, and that's just getting everybody in your organization 100% on the same page with where you're going and your plan of how you're going to get there. When we take a second pass round, I'm going to introduce 2 tools and disciplines that help you understand how we strengthen that vision component, or how you can strengthen the vision component in your business, and getting that for everyone. Second one is the people component. You cannot achieve great vision without great people. The truth is, every organization defines great people differently. So I'm going to explain how we cut through that, all of this A player, superstar, top quartile performer, how we cut through that and actually define the great people for your unique organization, who's going to fit you. Third key component is the data component. This is about running the business on facts, figures, objective information, rather than the feelings, egos, subjective emotion that sometimes drives decision-making processes. So we find when you've got these three components strengthened, you've got vision, you've got people, you've got data, that everything else kind of becomes transparent in the business. It becomes crystal clear, and some of those impurities and problems and challenges, they jump out in front of you, which really takes us to the fourth one, which is the issues component. And strengthening the issues component is all about getting really good at solving those problems as they arrive. You cannot achieve success if you're not great at setting up the problems as they arise, knocking them down, making them go away forever. Fifth component is process. Strengthening the process component is just about getting all of the most important stuff in your business done the right way, the best way, every time. It creates a consistency and scalability to the business. It also makes it easier to manage, more profitable, and more fun. And then finally, the traction component. So traction is about bringing your vision down to the ground and executing on that vision day in, day out. And there's no coincidence. We've got traction at the top of the diagram, and vision at the top and traction at the bottom of the diagram. Put simply, vision without traction is just hallucination. So in a minute, I'm going to talk about the two tools that we use to strengthen traction and help you get what you want from your business. So taking together those 6 components, they make up the EOS model, the Entrepreneurial Operating System model. And it's just a way of harmonizing and orchestrating all the moving parts of your business to help you, run a better business. And the journey is the journey to strengthen each of those 6 components. So you'll see this is all about execution. This is, if you've got the wrong product, this isn't going to save you. But if you've got the right product, this is about execution, and this will help get you what you want from the business, and help you execute really well. And we measure the EOS journey on a scale from 0 to 100%, working to get 100% strong on every component, which is the utopia. It's never quite going to happen. So, what we aim for to do is a threshold of 80%. Is we aim to measure and get ourselves to 80% at that point. So that's the model in summary. Let me go around the second time and talk about the disciplines, tools for each of these 6 components. I'm going to start with the vision, and the first discipline is something called the 8 questions. Very simply, it's getting your leadership team, you and your leadership team, to answer 8 simple questions, getting everybody on the same page. And we keep those questions in a simple organizer we call the Vision Traction Organizer. So it's the first kind of EOS tool I'll share with you now. It looks like this. Regardless of what happens next, you can take this, you can fill in these 8 questions and help you get clarity of your vision and share that. So first question is, what are your core values? You're probably familiar with the term core values. It's just an essential set of guiding characteristics to define who you are at your core, and what the culture of your company is. We use a discovery exercise to work out what the core values are. And later in the people component, I'll explain exactly how we use the core value to attract the people who are going to fit you like a glove, and keep those people in your business, and push away and repel those people who are just not a great fit for your organization. Question 2 is your core focus. The core focus is the sweet spot of your organization. It's been called a million things. It's been called mission statements. Stephen Covey calls it voice. Jim Collins' Hedgehog principle. We call it core focus. It's who you are at your core. And once it's clearly defined and articulated, the trick is to stay, laser focused on your core focus, so you're always working straight within your sweet spot. Number 3 is the 10-year target. This is just a long-range business goal. It could be anything from 5 years to 30 years. Clearly articulated, number 1 business goal for the organization, get everybody on the same page with where you're going long term. And then number 4 is our marketing strategy. So your marketing strategy is simply designed to get everybody on the same page with who you should talk to and what you should say when you're talking to them to get the biggest return on those, precious sales and marketing resources and energy. So there's 4 parts to the marketing strategy. The target market, the 3 uniques, proven process, and guarantee. So target market is getting everyone in your team to agree on the ideal prospect, the demographic, geographic, psychographic profile of the kinds of people or companies that you want to stay laser focused on and should proactively sell and market to. And once that's clear, the rest of the marketing strategy is simply the message to deliver to those ideal prospects, starting with the 3 uniques, just the 3 things about your organization that make you different and better than the competition. It sets you apart. Number 2 is the proven process. This is a 1-page visual illustration of the way you take care of your customers. From the minute they start thinking about you until they're lifelong satisfied business partners. And the last part is the guarantee. Simply your pledge, your promise that reduces the fear of adoption. You get those objections during the sales and marketing process, and the guarantee helps to get past that obstacle. So taken together, once you're clear on the core values, the core focus, the 10-year target, marketing strategy, you'll know who you are at your core, what you love to do and what you're best at doing with the core focus, where you're going long term, and how you're going to get there with the marketing strategy. When we've got that far, we can start to crystallize the vision, bring it down to ground, start to make it really happen, beginning with the 3-year picture. So 3-year pictures, not a detailed 3 to 5 year strategic planning process. All we try to do with the 3-year picture in EOS is get every member of the team to crystallize and visualize exactly how this company needs to look in 3 years from now. And we find that, if you can get everybody to see the same thing in 3 years, then your chances of achieving that vision is significantly higher. And we start the 3-year picture with revenue, profits, and measurables, just a few quick numbers. And then under that, you'll see there's 5 to 15 bullet points, which just paint the picture of what it looks like. What's the company looking like in 5 to 15 bullet points, 3 years. And there's 2 benefits to the 3-year picture. Everyone in the team can see the same picture. Their chances of achieving it are much stronger, and it sets you up for really good 1-year planning. So the 1-year planning, we move to our traction sheet. That was the vision sheet. And we go to the traction sheet of the VTO. The first thing we do on there is to agree the 1-year plan. It starts off, as you'll see, with the same predictions of revenue, profit, and measurables. And then after that, we work on the 3 to 7 priorities. We call them goals, but the 3 to 7 biggest, most important things to achieve in the business in the next 12-month period. And we focus on 3 to 7, not 23 or any, because we find that if everything is important, nothing is important. And one of the phrases used a lot in EOS is less is more. So we're a big believer in focus, less is more. You get more by doing less. And once crystallized on those 3 to 7, then we set 3 to 7 clear aligned goals. Question 7 on the traction is quarterly ROCs. ROCs is just the term used for 90-day business priorities, getting everyone 100% on the same page with what's most important to do over the next 90 days. And this creates a 90-day world for the organization. We start again with those predictions for revenue, profit, and measurables over the next 90 days. then 3 to 7 priorities for the company over 90 days, and ultimately 3 to 7 priorities for each person on the leadership team over the next 90 days. And this is a starting point for creating that discipline, focus, and accountability. So we execute on the vision every 90 days. And final question is the issues list. We get what are the issues? Of course, there's going to be issues. We get those out onto the table, get them onto an issue list. As I said, when we get vision, people, and data strong, those issues kind of come at you. We get those onto a list so that we can get those answered. So that's the 8 questions for the VTO. It's just a simplified approach to strategic planning. And once we've done that, the second discipline from the vision is we need to get everybody in the organization to share and see this same vision. They need to see it and want to be a part of it. And to do that, we have to tell them. So you get everyone together on a quarterly basis and deliver a quarterly state of the company address. Ultimately getting to the point where all those people are rowing in the same direction. Everybody's got that same picture, they internalize it, understand it, want to be part of it. And to the extent that everyone shares that same vision and goes in the same direction, it's just when it's hard to describe, the magic happens. Planets line up in the universe. It just makes everything suddenly whiz along. So that's the vision component to get 100% strong on vision. Next, we're talking about people, and there's 2 things here. We talk about right people and right seats. Jim Collins popularized these terms in his book, Good to Great. So I'm going to kind of cut through and define those a little bit more clearly for you today. You've got to have right people and right seats. So I'm going to take one at a time, starting with the right people. The right people are the people who fit your organization core values. So from the VTO, that first question was core values. Once you've discovered that, then we need to make sure everyone in the organization consistently exhibit the core values, that they fit your culture like a glove. And the tool we use for that is something called the People Analyzer. This just lets you assess your people in black and white. Are they consistently hitting and exhibiting your core values? It also, even better, facilitates a clear, effective communication with them so they know where they're falling short and where they're succeeding. It helps you drive that culture, get you to feel like everybody is the right person. That was right people. We've got to have right seats. That means people who are good at their job. Not only do they fit the organization, but they can do the job that they need to do. These are the people who have got the God-given talent, skills, experience, ability, desire to be great at their job. And to get the right seats, we take a step back and we use something called the accountability chart. This is defining the right structure for the organization. And that may well have changed in the last 10 weeks, 3 months. But we need to get the right structure, something that is going to be good for the next 6, 12, 18 months out. And we build an accountability chart in EOS, and it starts on the basis of the assumption that every organization has 3 major basic functions. There's a sales and marketing function, which goes out to the marketplace, creates demand, turns demands into orders. Then there's the operations function, which builds the product or delivers the service. And then finally, there is the finance function, which tracks the money flowing in and out of the business, the assets, and so forth. Ultimately, this gets tailored, tailor this to your organization. The first step is going to be deciding how many major functions you truly have. It may be 3, it may be 5, 6. Sales and marketing often splits into 2. Operations sometimes splits into 2, 3, maybe 4 distinct major functions. But once the major functions are identified, the next step for accountability is adding a 4th function that we call the integrator. So the integrator is the person who beats the drum. It's the person, the glue that holds everything together, that drives the accountability, and harmoniously integrates the leadership team members, those major functions, integrates those together. That's what it looks like kind of 50% of the time. 50% of the time, we add in EOS a fifth seat, which we call the visionary. Visionaries are the big idea people. They love staying at 30,000 feet. They come to every meeting with 20 ideas. They're creative problem solvers. They hate getting into the trenches. They manage big relationships, but they don't really like those tough conversations. That's the work of an integrator to do the tough conversations. And if you've got a visionary in the organization, you have to call that out and separate out the visionary and the integrator roles. As having a visionary trapped in the integrator seat, generally causes chaos. They can't stay engaged long enough to follow through and sustain the energy. The business is flip-flopping around. It's like a light switch going on and off the whole time. Once we've got the major functions separated out, visionary, integrator roles, next step is to add in the 5 roles of every member of the leadership team. So this is to make sure it's really clear what the accountabilities are of each person in the seat. And once we've done that, we use this tool to put the right person into the right seat, the seat in which they're great at it, they love to do it, they can consistently execute on it. We match the 5 roles for each seat against the person. Then building out the accountability chart, going down into the organization, crystallizing those 5 roles of each seat throughout the organization. And you get to the point where all of your people are the right person in the right seat, and you've got to have both. You can see, you're going to come across 2 problems. You're going to come across the problem of a right person in the wrong seat. It's someone you love, they fit the culture, you love to be around them, but they just don't seem to be able to perform. If you can, then you can move them to a new seat because they're great for your organization, move them to a seat which does fit them, where they can deliver on the roles for that seat. And as tough as it is, if you can't, then you end up going to have to make the change there. And the second problem is the wrong person in the right seat. So these are the people who are, seem to be great at their job, they hit the numbers, they're highly productive, but they don't fit the business, they don't fit the culture, and they're kind of chipping away at the culture. And I, urge you and beg with you to, make the tough change when that's the case, because those people, they do more damage than good, and ultimately they're going to, kill you in the long run. That's the people component. Those are disciplines. You've got to have the right person in right seat. You've got to have both of those. So let's move on to data. This is going to go a little bit faster now. So data components about strengthening and boiling the business down to good, solid, hard facts and figures, really operating on data. And the first tool we use for that is a scorecard. This is what the scorecards look like. 5 to 15 high-level weekly numbers that keep an absolute pulse on the business. It's a tool designed for the leadership team to know what's going on, what's working and what's not working. And you need to build a great scorecard for a great team. And when it's done, it's going to indicate who's accountable for each of the 5 to 15 weekly numbers. It's going to describe the measurable. There's a goal, what you need to achieve on a weekly basis to feel like you're on track to reaching your monthly, quarterly goals to get to the vision. And then it's coupled with a 13-week history at a glance, so you can see the trends developing. You can see when something's going off track. You can then take action to pull it back on track. And with the scorecard discipline, that's something that migrate down into the whole organization. So it's not just the leadership team, but every team's going to be having a scorecard that they're looking at on a weekly basis and making sure they're on track and taking the necessary actions when their numbers are going off track. Which takes us to the second discipline of measurables. So we get to the point with the measurables, every individual in the organization is accountable for 1, 2, 3 different measurables. And that's just a number that, I as an employee, I'm accountable for keeping on track each week. And we boil that down. Everybody in the organization feels like they're helping you hit your numbers week on week. So that's 100% strong in data, taking us to issues component. And we have to get really good at solving the issues as they arrive, solving them at the root, making them go away forever for the greater good of the organization. And we use a couple of tools to do that. The first tool we use is the issues list. And I introduced you to that idea on the vision. The issues list is about getting everybody really comfortable with raising their hands, calling it out, and saying there's an issue, getting it onto a list somewhere in the organization so it can actually be managed to handle them. And once we've done that, once you've got the issues to be seen, then you've got to get really good at prioritizing and resolving those issues. And the tool we use for that is the IDS tool, or issue solving track. And IDS stands for Identify, Discuss, Solve. This stems from the discovery that even great leadership teams will struggle when they come to really solving their issues at the root. And specifically what we observe is that the team gets themselves locked away into a room and they then discuss the heck out of an issue, but rarely do they ever identify the root cause. They just go round and round discussing, and then seem to do the same thing the following week again. So this is all about dig to find the root cause, walk out having agreed plan of how that's going to be solved so it goes away. And so we develop a discipline around IDS to make the issues get solved. Fifth component is the process component, and here's how it works. Every business has a handful of truly core processes, 6 to 10 that make the business truly run. They're things like an HR process, the marketing process for how to generate leads, the sales process, a handful of operating processes for building product, service, delivery, and an accounting process. So these are a handful of truly core processes, and to the extent you can get these core processes done the right way, the best way every time, you're going to create consistency in the business, scalability in the business. So we've got 2 tools to help with that. The first is documenting your core processes at a high level. It's a 20/80 approach to documenting, truly simplifying core processes, focusing on the 20% of the major steps that get you 80% of the way there. The extra time and energy to document 100% of the steps that get 100% compliant just gets you a big, thick, operating manual that simply no one ever looks at or knows what it means. So we take a very high level in EOS. EOS takes a high level entrepreneurial 28 approach to documenting and simplifying core processes, just the major steps. Once we've done that, it's about getting those core processes followed by all. It's just the mechanism to ensure everybody in the organization that touches those processes has been properly trained. They know the right way to do it. They're being measured and managed according to doing it the right way every time. And that's what we call followed by all. Ultimately, creating more profitability and making the business a lot more fun. So taking us now to the 6th component, the traction component. This is where we bring that vision, we bring it down to the ground. We execute on it with discipline, accountability, because unfortunately the vision component for most entrepreneurs goes unrealized because of weakness in the traction component. And there are 2 tools we use to strengthen the traction component. The first is Rocks and the second is a meeting pulse. Starting with Rocks, I introduced you to Rocks when we were answering 8 questions on the VTO. So we set 3 to 7 company Rocks, crystallizing real priorities for the next 90 days, and then 3 to 7 individuals. And that tool and that attitude, ultimately the discipline gets put down to the organization so that the whole business runs on a 90-day cycle, each employee 1 to 3 Rocks every 90 days, taking you closer to your vision, executing with that discipline, accountability. And it's a 90-day world that feels a little bit like this. Every 90 days, you run like heck, you come up for air, you look back at where you've been, how you did, you recheck your vision to see that you're still on the same page, because sometimes you're not. And then you set 90-day rocks again. You go back down to the business, get on and execute again for the next 90 days. And that's how it feels in these 90-day chunks with this process. And then finally, in the traction component, you've got to have a great meeting pulse for everybody in the business. This is the meeting pulse for the leadership team. We use a very specific weekly meeting agenda called the Level 10 meeting agenda. And when it's done properly, it elevates the meetings to a score of 10. I suspect most people find their meetings aren't always that enjoyable or successful. So we aim to score our meetings at 10. So let me very quickly walk you through the meeting agenda. It starts with a segue. That's just a really fast way of transitioning everybody into the meeting effectively. Then there's 10 minutes checking up on those critical measures for the business, checking in on the scorecard to see that numbers are on track, that there's nothing that needs to be put onto the issues list from that, checking those 90-day priorities, that they're still on track. Quick check on headlines from customers and employees, make sure everyone's happy. A little to-do list of the accountability items from the previous week. And then the majority of the meeting, 60 minutes from a 90-minute meeting, is spent on the IDS, the Identify, Discuss, Solve, the issue solving track, to solve those issues at the root. And then conclude, sort out the to-do list of anything that had to be done for the following week, cascading messages, and then rate the meeting. That makes for great meetings, and that feels like you're making traction each week and spending valuable time together, making use of your time. So that's the EOS model. It's just designed to get you to 100% strong on the 6 key components of the business. There is a proven process for how to implement the EOS model and how to learn it and implement it in your business. You can, as next steps, if you have any of this resonated with you, I'd encourage you to buy the book Traction by Gino Wickman. It's a very easy read. I'm sure you'll find the content of the book help you and fill out some of the information that I didn't get across in this 40 minutes now. Or if you've got any questions about this session, just reach out to me. Really happy to spend some time answering any questions you have. So thank you for listening now. With that, Chloe, I'll open it up to questions. Let me stop the screen share as well in a second. Chloe, let's see if we've got any questions here. All right, so we've got a question. How can you use EOS from startup and pre-launch phases? So you can take the book and read it and start to structure your business and get your vision right, right from startup pre-launch. It's most important when you're obviously starting up a business that you're really clear on what you're trying to achieve. So I'd say, take the VTO. I'll send you a blank VTO if you want to contact me. But take the VTO and fill that in, answer those 6 questions, and if you're assuming you're more than one person in the startup business, share it so that everybody in that business has the same view of what it is you're trying to achieve. Actually, second question, how do you skinny it down? So this is, has it worked for smaller businesses? I said this is generally used for 10 to 250 employee businesses is how they tend to work it. But there's no reason why you can't use the principles with a 5-person business. Develop yourself a scorecard, create a vision, have a weekly meeting, follow the same agenda. These same things can work in a 5-person business, and you'll find that works very well. That's another question here. How many meetings on the EOS process? How long does it take? Okay, so someone's asking about how long does it take to implement the EOS process and how many meetings are needed. So I'll just go back to actually the slide here. This is actually the process for, you can self-implement. You can read the book, learn the lessons from Traction and go about using the principles and the tools within your business. You can absolutely do that. If you want to get help doing it, this is the process that we use. And it's, first of all, a focus day session. 30 days after that, vision building session, another 30 days vision building, and then what we call full execution, which is a quarterly session. So to answer the question of how many meetings does it take, then in the first 12 months, it's 8 meetings, and after that, it's 4 meetings a year or 5 days a year. The answer to that question there. Okay, let's see, another question. Oh, that's just a comment, someone saying someone's going to go back and change a few things from the basis of this. Okay, that's great. Let me just stop the share then.
Fantastic, Tim. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I have included the link and Tim's contact details in the comments if you would like to get in touch. If there is anything you'd like to catch up on from today's session, then we'll be sending out the replay coming shortly. The next webinar in the Lockdown Learning for Business series takes place on Monday, the 1st of June at 2 o'clock. And this is with Duncan Gledhill, as he shows you step-by-step on how to generate warm leads by using a one-to-one cold email outreach. If you haven't already, you can register for this webinar at www.freshbusinessthinking.haysummit.com, or you can click on the link in the comments. Tim, do you have any final comments at all?
And no, I guess just wish everybody well with whatever they're doing at the moment, and you know, good luck.
There is a question that has come in with regards to slides. So Tim, will they be able to contact you over email if they wanted a copy of the slides?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, if you want a copy of the slides, or you you know, you want to get I can send a PDF of the VTA if you want to take that and fill it in and look at it again. Then yes, just email me, and it's Tim at Traction 6 Co UK, or alternatively T Watson at Traction 6 Co UK. Both of those work. So yeah, email me and I'll be happy to send you the slides.
Fantastic. Thank you very much again, Tim, and thank you for everybody that joined us today. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye.